Blood, mud, and explosions don't stop women from fighting shoulder to shoulder with men. How do they handle heavy gear? Do they bring the heat driving tanks and fighting fearlessly on the front? Watch this.
I remember that morning in detail. She said, "Honey, I'm off to war." And I didn't even process it. I just went, "Okay, grab me a beer on your way back." Jesus, I was such an idiot. If I had known what was waiting for her.
Right now, Miss Tatiana is inside the cramped metal belly of a howitzer, where there is no room for jokes. Heavy work is underway. Here she isn't just a woman, she is a gunner, part of the team, and while the powder gases dissipate, her voice rings out louder than the noise of the shots. Is this really not a movie? Is this girl really baking enemy hardware instead of pastries?
They send us visual confirmation of our work, and also voice reports like this. This is the result for one day of our 2 S1 Gvozdika.
But you know, the main difficulties for a woman on the front, it's not the combat work at all, but everything around it. For example, this heavy thing here, it's the breech wedge of a 122mm howitzer. It ensures the locking of the bore before the shot and the ejection of the casing after it. During technical maintenance, cleaning, or parking the SPG, the breech wedge is always removed. The gunner walks to work with it like a schoolboy with a backpack to school. You can't lose the wedge, otherwise you'll end up in the brig. So how much does this thing weigh?
36 kilograms, that's 20 kilograms lighter than me.
May Saint Barbara, the patron saint of artillery, protect her, and may her ammo load never run out. Hit like if you are also impressed by this woman. However, Miss Tatiana is not the only woman on the front dealing with heavy hardware.
I'm 48 years old. Right now, I'm a tank gunner, but I'm undergoing training to become a tank commander. Yeah, there are plenty of professions in the military, but heavy machinery just suits me better.
However, these women are still going through combat coordination. But are there women who are already fighting as tank or IFV crew commanders? Yes, we found them. And these girls are incredible.
My spot in the turret is right here on the right. That's the commander's station. The gunner operator sits on the left.
She is a Bradley YFV commander with the call sign Magura. From the very first day of the war, she wanted to be in a combat unit. Finally, they took her in as a combat medic. But 6 months later, the commander started trying to keep her safe. She filed a formal refusal of duties because she wanted to fight. That's when they took her on as a Bradley IFV commander. And the turbulent life began. Assaults, attacks, rotations, medevacs, until something heavy slammed into her Bradley. Comms went dead, the instruments went dark, a fire started, and the hatch jammed. It's that feeling like you're alive, but really, you're already gone.
That was probably the most terrifying moment because contact with the enemy, getting wounded, whatever, all the things you expect aren't that scary. What's scary is when something happens that you didn't see coming.
Luckily, she managed to get out through the gunner's hatch. The story of this girl and her heavy IFV continues. But now, meet the girl commanding the heaviest hardware of this war. Brittany, call sign Captain, is a former servicewoman of the Canadian Armed Forces. She served as a Leopard 2 crew commander.
At first, I was training Ukrainian tankers on Leopard tanks, but I couldn't stay on the sidelines, so I came to the war to do more than just training.
The first phrases she learned were, "Good day," "Load up," and the ones that are banned on YouTube. But in a year, Brittany mastered more than just soldier slang and speaking Ukrainian. Imagine this, she mastered the T-80 tank. So, how does it feel after the Leopard 2?
Canadian propaganda constantly repeats that Leopards, Abrams, and Challengers are the best in the world and that the T-Series is shit. I was very surprised because the T-80 is actually a really good tank.
Wow, that's a Russian tank. How did it end up in Brittany's hands? Actually, at the start of the war, Ukrainian army had about 90 to 100 units of various T-80 modifications in service. But as the war went on, their numbers increased. In just the first year of the full-scale invasion, Ukraine captured hundreds of different armored vehicles, a significant part of which were successfully put into service. We have a video on the channel where Ukrainian soldiers tell the harsh truth about trophy hardware. so we won't dwell on this in detail and we'll move on. Ms. Brittany, what surprises you about the Ukrainian army?
It's not discipline.
In the Canadian Army, discipline is strict. You can't even keep your hands in your pockets. Besides, the training is less heavy here and you can wear non-standard gear. Any patches, more comfortable clothes.
Comfortable clothes at war. That's not about style and not about comfort for comfort's sake. The uniform has to work together with the body, not against it. Not chafing under armor, not pressing where you need to breathe, not getting in the way of moving, running, loading, evacuating, sleeping for 2 hours between sorties, especially when you are a female assault trooper.
This body armor is for training. This one is for combat. It has a prayer on the back. Besides that, I have to have 6 magazines with me, a dump pouch, plus an IFAK, plus a pouch for grenades, tourniquets, plus an assault pack with extra magazines, grenades.
Whoa. Is it possible to lighten it somehow?
Altogether, a minimum of 25 kilograms. I do that at the expense of food. If the guys take a lot of food, then I have 1 liter of water and a few energy bars. Before going out, I don't eat or drink because if nature calls, that's problematic for a girl. You understand?
Oh, that really is a heavy truth that people don't usually talk about. Before we find out why this girl became an assault trooper and why being an assault trooper is easier than being a regular infantryman, subscribe to our channel. That is the best support for us. Thank you. So, the lady with the call sign Panther is the only woman in the assault group of the Lyut Brigade, which was formed based on National Police of Ukraine and is translated as Rage. This brigade is known for participating in the toughest battles on hot sectors of the front. Specifically, they, among others, took part of Bakhmut meat grinder, where the Russian PMC Wagner was practically completely destroyed.
Panther is a member of our family and works with us on equal footing. In battle, she really is a Panther.
First, Panther is a call sign that's convenient enough to pronounce so it can be heard over the radio, even during jamming. Second, Panther sounds combat-ready enough, but this call sign appeared under different circumstances.
In the past, I worked in the police. When I came here and it came to determining call signs, I decided I'd better come up with one for myself before the men did it.
It's hard to imagine what they would have come up with. Their black humor is tied to risk, because every one of these guys, although not planning to die, is ready for meeting the Reaper.
Assault troops always save the last bullet for themselves. Am I capable of doing that? I don't have an answer, but I won't surrender. 100%.
Clear. But why not regular infantry, where there are seemingly fewer risks?
When we go out to work, we usually return to base in a day. We set up, heal up, train, and prepare for the next sortie. But the infantry sits on positions for several dozen days at a time. That's not for me. I feel sorry for those infantrymen.
Yes, the realities of this war are such that the highest probability of getting killed or wounded exists precisely during rotation. That is why fighters literally live in dugouts and trenches. Heavy UAVs deliver food and water to them. Infantry hold positions for 100, 150, and even 200 days. But we found those who are ready for this.
It all started with the fact that the position in front of us fell. We realized that we were next.
And that moment arrived. A Russian assault group launched an attack. Besides the woman with the call sign Vyrva, the fighter Shustri, and a Colombian volunteer Pino were at the position.
About 12 to 14 minutes in, Shustri passed out. But they had wounded among them too. I heard them screaming and cussing. Pino was throwing grenades and I was firing right from the dugout.
When one of the Russians almost breached the cramped dugout, Vyrva, unable to fire aimed shots, went into close quarters.
I saw his leg. I realized Pino wouldn't be fast enough to shoot him. So I pulled out a knife and stabbed him in the leg. He started crawling out and I started shooting at his legs.
After that, they started gassing the position and they dropped ammunition from a drone. The shelter caved in. Vyrva got concussed and lost consciousness for a few hours. But the guys had it worse. Pino joined Shustri, who was already out cold. He took a bad leg injury and ended up pinned down by sandbags.
I hadn't seen any blood yet, didn't realize how bad off I was. When I set and bandaged his leg, I looked at the guys lying there and thought, how am I going to haul them out?
The Russians approached a few times, telling them to surrender, first nicely, then with threats.
I told them I was alone and had a lot of wounds, just let me die in peace.
But the Russians decided to finish the job once and for all and threw a large mine into the dugout, a TM-62. It's a type of Soviet anti-tank blast mine containing up to 8 kilograms of TNT.
After that explosion, everything collapsed. I was thrown back and hit my head.
Luckily, night fell. The fighters spent several hours digging through the rubble with their bare hands. By the second day, they managed to make contact. Command ordered them to break out to a neighboring position. Vyrva climbed out first and immediately came under fire from those same Russian assault troops. Despite her concussion and being almost completely deaf, she engaged in combat.
I got lucky because I was behind a log a bit higher up and he was a bit lower. That saved me. I hit him in the head on the 4th shot. The second guy was firing from behind cover and he had an awkward angle. I saw where his legs were sticking out, just switched to full auto and start shooting.
As you realize, for this woman and her brothers in arms, this story ended well. They made it to the neighboring position. Since then, Shustri is recovering, and the Colombian, Pino, terminated his contract and went home.
I understand him because he's young and everyone has their limit. He reached his.
And Vyrva is back in the ranks. Does she have a limit?
That's a tough question. It seems I don't have a limit because I'm ready to keep going.
Write in the comments which story impresses or inspires you the most. And if you haven't yet grasped the essence of war, then in these playlists you'll find stories that are just as striking. Stay safe.